You are now watching Metal Gear Solid 4 on modern consoles. That's right. For the first time, we're finally seeing it. PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PCs will be able to play. In the background, I'm going to have footage from a recently broadcast from a Japanese channel that I'll have in the description that got an hour chance to play the Metal Gear Solid 4 demo for the Master Collection Volume 2. We're going to dive deep into what we've seen as well as talk about what's coming, because there's a lot that this actually confirms, which I can probably make a couple of videos on, but we want to give you a full rundown right here. So if this is useful, enjoy, and we'll go forward. Quick note, this broadcast was in Japanese, and there's a lot of things that have not been translated fully. And so I'm sure that I'll have a brand new video after this with more details. And if you happen to speak Japanese and want to translate some things and know how to verify it, feel free. We have tons of people on this, so let's do it. So the first thing I want to mention is that this isn't just a port. A lot of times when games get these collector's edition, it's just quick ports, and that's pretty much it. Metal Gear Solid 4 is very unique, and the reasons why people didn't think that this was going to even get the chance to come to modern consoles, because there was so many things in it that would hinder that. Things like in-game marketing, as far as the iPods and other advertisements that they had deals with at the time. 20 years later, things like iPod don't exist in the same way anymore. So very interesting. Well, guess what? Most of that stuff is coming back from this demo. And again, this is subject to change. This isn't official information, but I believe since Konami allowed these people to play, that it is going to give you those things, because we see them in this demo that they have. And talking about that, before we get into a lot of the details, I do want to mention something very cool. I believe you're going to get the hands-on on this as well. I believe that Konami, since they have this demo for the streamers to play, they will most likely be at different events and pop-ups, which they've done before, that is going to allow the community to play it. So look for those on Konami's website or social medias, and then you can get involved as well. Okay, so very cool, exciting and interesting. By the way, if you're looking at this footage, yes, it is actually enhanced, and I believe it's going to be a couple of different reasons for this. One of the main reasons is general modern consoles and PCs have better performance, so it's going to be able to do texture and much more, and we see that in here already. And I promise, the footage will look even better when you get your hands on it as we go forward. I have a bunch of stills that I'm going to be showcasing a little later, where you're able to see some of these texture upgrades and extra details as we go forward. But I just wanted to mention that so you guys can know what's going on. Another big thing and something to be excited about is the fact that they pretty much restored a lot. And when I mean a lot, I mean pretty much everything so far. It doesn't look like anything is getting cut out. And, maybe later on there'll be some things, because this is a long game, a big game. But when it comes to features, mechanics, and systems from the gameplay that you're watching, all of it was kept. And this is very critical because, as you guys know, this game had so much modern elements and in-game advertisement. Another one of the biggest things you can see for yourself in this footage is Hideo Kojima. He is the king of the one who created this. And guess what? They are respecting everything he did. He's always putting these little callbacks about himself in these video games, and he didn't hesitate to put himself in here. It's a feature. No place for Hideo is still in the game, and the original had link to their blog, but this one does not. And that's okay with me. I think, the blog doesn't exist anymore anyways. It's not something that's relevant for that. It was just more advertisement. So that's cool. But as you can see, they break it. And this is kind of Kojima's way of talking commentary about the game and the state of gaming and so many different things. It's layers to that discussion, but the fact that it's left in completely is such a cool feature, and to me, one of the best. And I want to pause this video and give you guys a look at this. And shout out to a contributor, Geo, who hooked this up. As you can see right here, the original showcased the actual log, and then the brand new version does not. Okay, simple, nothing too crazy, but it is confirmed to be in the game still in some capacity that I think they did a good job of putting it in there in their own way. And the reason I want to mention this is long term. And the end of the day, keeping the game as is very much important for a lot of people. If you're a new player and you come into the series, you're not going to miss any silly little thing like this, but it adds value to those like myself and others who really love messages, themes, small references that Konami and Kojima put together. Remember, Kojima wasn't the only one making this game. He was just a director. It took a big team to put this together. So with all that being said, I do want to kind of go through a list of changes. While I'm mentioning that, I want you to please understand that these things possibly are subject to change. I will email Konami for confirmation on some of these things that we did see and kind of get a translated version of what's confirmed and not confirmed. Are they going to, go deeper into that and give us more details to learn about everything that is being implemented? Because I don't want to just sit here and speculate. Just a heads up. Shout out to Hideo Kojima. We're going to keep it right there for a second. I want to go through a list of these pictures and talk about a couple things. The iPod doesn't exist in 2026. By the time this game comes out, it still don't exist. So the fact that it's in the game is pretty cool. What's crazy is the licensing for each of the songs, and as well as they had a podcast. I used to listen to it. Shout out to everybody who produced it. Oh, it was a great listen. A lot of insight and fun things to kind of hear from them talking about, different things. And so that is in there, but I don't know how deep this goes. I know you can pick up different songs as you go. So very cool. As you can see, it is still in the game. And then another thing with the menu, the original menu, this is how it looked. Now it's a little more cleaned up. And then they also have possibly some hidden secret stuff in here. We'll see, because they did that for the last one. We'll find out. And I want to keep going down a rabbit hole. As you can see, the original Snake versus the Master Collection. Okay, texture's a bit different. The lighting and shadows on the eyes, as you can see, very different, and that's going to be fun and interesting. And of course, these are just snapshots of the video. Shout out to JL for sending this, but we will get full version in the end. Now, this is where it got interesting for me, and the reason I wanted to pause. The brand new edition compared to the old. In the PlayStation, you used to press R1 and L1 to aim and shoot. But in this brand new game, they're doing L2 and R2 to aim and shoot. Now, why this is important is because, the haptic feedback, the extra control systems, Konami has implemented these in their games. So I believe we're going to get a very cool addition to the series with that. And then this is just texture as far as like enhancements that you can see, the small differences. And things that are good. Now, this is what I was telling you guys. These type of things are in the game and they're pretty much advertisements. And a lot of companies erase them after a couple years because they're not licensed to stay forever. And I'm not sure if regain will be permanent, but it is in the game at the moment. As you can see right here, somebody's found it. So that means they most likely retain that, as well as the Playboy magazines. These were good decoys for new players, by the way. These were good decoys in the old days, and it looks like they're back, and you can basically pick them up, use them like you did before, confirmed. So this is pretty cool. And then you have textures, for example, where you couldn't read the information, and now everything is a little more readable compared to the old days. And that to me is pretty awesome. And then as you can see right here, the texture, you can actually read it just a little bit, but this is a screenshot. Wait until you get the game in your hands. And so with that all being said, there's plenty to kind of go over when it comes to what all this means and how that's going to play out for you. Personally, if you're a new player, you're not going to miss a lot of these silly little things, and it's not going to be a big factor. I think introducing new players, let them come and experience it for the most part. Now, as an artist myself, I do know that when I create something, it's very important that the way I created it stays the same. And I know Hideo Kojima won't be able to really address this the way I might say right now, but I'm sure he wants all of his things, his messages, themes, and the main points of the game to stay. Okay. And I do see that that is there, like the core, the gameplay, story, all of that is there. Plus, they're keeping these small little tidbits. And I think that's very valuable and useful. Okay. And by the way, the screen that you're watching, the actual background and stuff, I zoomed in so that we can see the footage full screen rather than half of it, because the other half is the people playing it. You can see his head on the bottom right. That being said, I do believe that they're paying tribute to Hideo Kojima in every way possible, because if I was to make it, I would also want to preserve all of these things for the love of Kojima, and that's what I think they're doing. Now, on a side note, if you guys been following me for 10 years now, this is one of my all-time favorites to play. I pretty much stream this every year. Sometimes I won't stream every game every year for Metal Gear, but for some reason I always play through part 4. It's a tradition, and the reason is it is a farewell. It is a reminder of how amazing this series is. And while there were a few games after that came and they're great and all that, I just feel like this game did some things that is so special. And since I was young, I would always praise it. The war going on as you try to sneak through was always fun. Sometimes I would not help any side, just sneak by everybody. Other times I'll take out both sides just like a maniac. Sometimes I'll help one of the sides. And that added value to healthing, that added value to action. And you can have a good action game in this game. They let you get a little too crazy out there. And then you can also just sneak your way through. All of those ways are possible. And that's something I always appreciated. I'm interested in replaying on modern consoles. Now, I do stream this all the time, so expect it to happen at some point this year if you want to come by, and we'll talk about the game from there. But those were some of the very cool things that I've noticed, and there's way more. So shout out to the community. I haven't had a chance to look to see what else is out there, and I haven't posted about this yet. I just watched the footage, downloaded it, and went on my Discord to go get the pictures that were sent to me. and that's it. But I am going to dive deep, and I need your help to see what else is in the footage. It's only 1 hour in the beginning of the game. We're not here dissecting a new game or anything. It's more so just to kind of see what improvements came. I am going to also have some Japanese people help me with translations, because what I believe also is happening is that they're redoing all of the dialogue when it comes to training. What I mean by that is, since you're pressing L1 and L2 to aim and shoot, most likely, just like they did before, they'll call David Hayter and whoever else that does the voice acting, say, hey, can you redo these for us so that we can have a modern version of it, because the buttons are different. And to me, that is super cool that they're taking the time. And as if you've seen the original games, you'll know that there's a lot of dialogue like this that can be tweaked, and instead of it just being removed, they're going to be able to communicate that in a different way. So I personally do believe they're doing a lot of work. From Volume 1, we've seen them do a lot of work. From the Snake Eater remake, they also did tons of work. It wasn't just a quick cash grab. And honestly, even if you're one of those haters, feel free to hate. But Konami has been on a tear. They have been incredible in these past couple years, really making up for anything that anybody might feel about them. To me, they're the greatest publisher because of Metal Gear. And now they're redeeming themselves, giving us Master Collection 1. And then once this one comes out, the whole saga is in your hands for the modern consoles, which makes it very, very useful. And they did a lot of work for Volume 1 to make sure it's good. And what I believe is that Volume 2 will not have all the hiccups that Volume 1 had, because that's what the producer said. He said, we don't want to just rush Volume 2. We want to make sure it's good before we give it out. And so hopefully his word is true. I know it's not only for him and it's a full company that decides, but if what he was saying is true and they're focused on trying to provide the best overall product, then I personally expect that, because they have been doing a good job. And I do believe this is only the beginning for the Metal Gear series. It's pretty much them ramping up Volume 1, Volume 2. They did the remake, and something bigger and better. By the way, one thing I noticed also is the loading screen. You can see how fast that was. If you guys didn't know, it took a couple more seconds than that for the original loading screens. So pretty amazing. Gonna be a lot of little small tweaks and nods that are different. And I'm excited to kind of go through all of it. And I actually didn't watch the whole footage, to be honest with you guys. So if you're interested in going through it, combing every inch and seeing any little minor details, I'll be happy to kind of jump in, have some fun with that as we go. But I appreciate you guys. We're going to dive deeper down a rabbit hole and continue with Metal Gear. It's exciting to keep our franchise alive, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Stay true, stay blessed.